we're going to do 5 things today. First, we're going to create a flow. Then we're going to import some data and plot something. Then we're going to create our first process overview. Then we're going to create a couple of nodes to process our data. And in the end, we're going to deploy our whole feed process. Hi guys, I'm going to show you how to work with your data and that in a low-code manner. So you don't have to write a single line of code. We're going to use this AI agent to build your data pipelines. You can also train your own AI models, but also just automate your process and work with your data. We also have a visualization tool that allows you to create plots and create like beautiful dashboards that you can share with others. But I'm going to show you now the 5 most important features that we have. And to unlock these, you first have to create a flow and then upload your data. That is always the first step. We can also use data connectors for that, and that's exactly what we're going to do first. Create a flow by going to my flows. I'm not going to use the chat interface for now. And I'm just creating a flow, okay? And then I will end up here. I'm going to close the function blocks because we don't need them right now. And then we're going to our file manager where we first are going to upload our data. So we're not going to use the data integration for now, but if you would want to go into data integration, selecting a data integration, clicking on it, there are always setup instructions, but you can also visit the docs to even see like a setup video for all of the connectors that we have. You can also request more connectors, but let me first upload a file that we then can work with. We're going with very simple, very boring CSV file. You can also upload Excel sheets, everything that you can think of. Also PDFs, JSON, XML, everything that you can imagine. You can also connect your databases, like everything is here. And here you then can see like your file, or in this case, my file. If I'm going to columns, then I also see like the current type that this column was assigned to. I can change it very easily here. If I'm hovering here over this one, then I can also see the category that this column was assigned to. It can also filter the data, like it's very easy to work with the data. If you would work with, for example, censored data, something that gets updated a lot, then you basically just click this button to update the data that you can see there. And what we're going to do first with our data is create the dashboards for my data. Okay. So I'm just quickly going to create a couple of plots. I'm going to use the AI Builder chat for it, just to make things easier for me and for you as well. Use this file. And meanwhile we're waiting, we can actually check out like the different plots that we can create manually. There are also like some specifically for AI. We also have AI suggested plots, so I can just scroll through the ones that AI suggests to me. It really depends on like what data you have, what then gets suggested. I, for example, like this one a lot, so we're just going to use it. These are the plots that my chat just created for me, so like specifying a file is definitely better than not. And what I can also do next is I can get an explanation for that plot. Yeah, but otherwise, let's visit the flow editor. So here we now could basically say, okay, I want to create a flow that every time the flow is completed, I get an email notification. Okay, so I'm just connecting these two, and I'm going to send an email to my work mail. We're going to keep everything as it is. Every time my flow completes, I want to get a notification when it fails. I don't care. And then I basically can already run my flow. And this is here a rather simple flow. Like this is basically something that it would just add when needed as like a nice side note. But we are now going to work on something a bit more complex. So I'm now going to select here my data, and then I'm chatting here with my beautiful agent, and then like pre-process my file that I've selected here. I'm just going to type it. Yeah, This is my notes selected here, so I can later use it for training my own AI model. Okay, so I'm just going to send it to the chat. I basically see here like the code that I wrote. It also pastes the code for me here. And then this is basically how I clean my data. So I'm just going to run this now so that I have clean data later. Open that again anytime. As you can see now it's completed. Here I can also see like the output. I've also sent out email notification. If I want to see the output a little bit more beautifully, then I'm just going to add like a preview upload note here. Okay. And then if I click here, then I can see we have one blob. Okay, but let me first arrange these beautifully. So this is now how our flow looks like. I also should have gotten an email notification. I just got my email notification that my flow finished. And now we're going back here. And this is how you can basically set up your flow. If you now want to view the data that our node processed here, then this is now the clean file. We also changed the format because this is just more efficient. And if I now wanted to train, for example, an AI model, I would just select this one here, then select like my model type that I want to use, save and continue. Now here I do not really have any features to select because I'm not connected to any data yet. And that's what I'm going to change right now. And we're going to remove the automatic connect. So if I'm now moving the nodes together, nothing will happen. Now I'm clicking again on save and continue. And then you can see you have a drop down here where you then can select the different features. I want to select all, obviously not the ID columns, obviously not my target column that I want to train for. Where is it? Here. I also have some advanced settings. So here, for example, hyperparameter tuning, then I get like huge list, okay, of things that I can select. But this is basically how I configure my AI model. And we're again adding a, oh my goodness, I don't see, oh, here it is. Perfect. Oh yeah, I disabled the auto connects. I'm just going to connect them manually. And I'm going to make this pretty again so that it looks decent. I still don't like it. I'm just going to move it a bit. Yeah, but this is then how I train my flow. I can then again click on train my flow, and here I can then check, for example, this was just with the 2 nodes. This was the one where we had also our custom code. Okay, see, it's super simple. I just trained a model. I just pre-processed my data. I even get email notification when something is done. Now, if I have a little bit more complex process, then I'm going to first map basically how my process looks like. So I'm going to type stuff like I am working in XYZ industry. So this is basically the process that I have. And I'm just going to wait until this whole process runs through. Cleaner, and I like it clean. Yeah, but this is the process, how we would have it, how we just described it. We can now just go in here, and then maybe this is not a task, but maybe service task, a script task, a manual task. So it's like after the BPMN 2.0 standard, and then once you mapped it out, you can go back to automations, and then here in the chat be like, okay, so I had my process defined. How can I automate it? Now we created this beautiful process where we train the model and whatnot. Now we want to actually deploy this whole workflow. So I want to run this through an API and then get the results back with the API. I have the different configuration options, but we're just keeping it as the standard ones. Now if I'm clicking here, I get code to actually integrate that into my own applications.